Hey, what's up? My name is Edward, DJ Purple Love, founder of Bacpak, the DJ booking app. This podcast is designed for DIY, do-it-yourself event planners. I myself am not an event planner, so every week I sit with experts in their specific fields to give you the tools to elevate your event from a gathering to an actual party. This is From Gathering to Party. Yo, what's up? This is From Gathering to Party, and we are back. Today I am sitting with Ken Jones. Ken, how are you?
How you doing?
I'm good. So what is it that you do, Ken?
I am a many things. Digital media artist. I work in visual effects industry on feature films, television shows, and commercials. And that's how I pay the bills. That's why I've been doing that for about 18 years now. And it's been going cool. It's been pretty good. It was my passion for a long time, but I now have a lot of other interests, and I'm interested in looking to see how to incorporate my skill set in my job, and also incorporate some of my hobbies and possibly make a change in the future. We'll see.
Nice. So today, Ken is going to be talking to us about understanding how to manage a life with 3 kids and a hectic schedule. Is that right?
Yeah, that's definitely right. That's the other thing that I do. Manage, be a member of a family, 5 people in the family, including myself. So there's a lot of juggling that needs to happen. And with the career that I have, there happens to be a lot of late hours, fairly regularly. And, you still need to be home for dinner and still need to tuck people into bed and so on. So that on top of, all the things I'm interested in doing on the side, there's a lot of juggling.
So before we jump into the meat of the topic, we are going to talk music. So what are you into today? What are your go-to?
I'm interested in multiple genres, mostly electronic stuff. Hip-hop is home. That's what I studied and been interested in for the longest time. And through getting interested in DJing, I've also learned about pop music, dance music, the electronic underground beat scene, which is mostly called future beats nowadays. Mm-hmm. Experimental stuff. So, fairly wide range, but mostly electronic, laptop bedroom musician type stuff.
Got it. So like the lo-fi stuff? Yeah,
definitely a lot of that stuff. A lot of like the EDM stuff. Hip hop is made that way now. I mean, a lot of times people are trying to get away from genres, so there's a lot of blending and so on of various genres of sounds being borrowed from different styles and moods. So I'm kind of interested in where those cross over and so on.
If you had a go-to song, what would that go-to song be?
Right now, the song that has really been I've been playing a lot. It's not that new, but it's called "Memory of Us" by De La Soul. That's been really speaking to me a lot lately.
This one here?
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, tell me a little bit about it. Why this song?
Well, this is a day and age. I mean, this song came out a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, I want to say like 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, the current phase of music we're in right now is very electronic heavy, very processed and digital and so on. And the song was made by a hip hop group and a producer that I grew up on when I was first getting into music. They'd be considered old hat or maybe less relevant now than a lot of the stuff that's out now, but they were able to come back from not being seen for a little while with a song that really touched a lot of people.
And so easy to fall back to the memory of, and it's easy to recall the good and fall into place, but you're not easy to love. I love the memory.
You have some really lovely singing. You got almost like a hardcore hip hop beat, but over top of really lush string sounds with some rap. There's love. It has a lot of things in one song, and was brought together by people that have been out of the limelight for a little while, and they were able to come back and still do something that felt relevant, as opposed to some people that try to come back and it doesn't strike the same chord. It seems like they're trying to revamp their careers. These guys seem to almost effortlessly just come back and show us what music.
Got it. And that's Estelle, right?
That's Estelle singing on the chorus, yeah.
Got it, yeah.
And the chorus even almost sounds like a verse it's a fairly long chorus, and I just think it's a really, really nice song the way it was put together.
Nice. So let's jump into our topic today. Talk to me about some of those long hours and coming home and still having to give your 100%.
So, I mean, the visual effects industry is very demanding. We have very strict deadlines, and your typical job, people talk about a 9 to 5. If you say 9 to 5 to a visual effects artist, they'll laugh. Like, what is that? They haven't experienced that for a long time.
Yeah.
A typical day for me, it's a little more flexible. At least where I work. I work at a studio in Los Angeles, fairly well-known studio. It's been part of the pioneered a lot of visual effects and movies and so on for many years. But they're there's a little more freedom there. I can kind of come in a little bit later than you would at a typical 9 to 5, but you're still expected to put in the time that you put in because we have a lot of work to do. And it's not easy. It's half the time, you're doing something and you're not sure what it's going to look like in the end, how it's going to work out, and you just have to pull it together and make it work. And there'll be days where if I leave at 7 or 8 p.m., that's almost an early day. More often than not, especially near the end of a project, you're there till 9 or 10. And there are days that I don't come home till 2 or 3. And it really depends on what needs to be done, what needs to be shown to the client, because we have clients and their clients have clients, and it goes all the way up to the ladder, especially when you're dealing with, people like movie studios and Marvel and Apple and that sort of thing. They have release dates, and it has to be done when it needs to be done. So I try to balance it where my kids and my wife understand now that sometimes it's going to take some time, and that's taken some time even to get to, because when you just get married and me and my wife moved to London, England, and I worked out there, and it was an adjustment period for her to understand that I'm going to be coming home late some days and you're going to be by yourself. This is before we had kids. Mm-hmm. And, we've come around to know how to handle it a little better now.
Relating it to the event industry, an event planner could be working with multiple clients, going from florist to florist to cake shop to cake shop, sourcing all of the material and the decor and the venues, and they could be doing all this within a day for multiple clients, long hours, and then they might have a couple kids at home, a wife, a husband.
Right. Yeah.
What's that conversation look like to your children or to your wife or husband to get them on board?
Well, I guess the conversation needs to be in two places, with them, with the family, and there just needs to be some understanding. I mean, a lot of times you'll have this one conversation I have with my wife all the time. You'll have people get together and maybe discuss, or in many instances complain about maybe the situation at home and what they need to be dealing with. And for a lot of wives, or even husbands as well, but a lot of times if the wife is at home, they're dealing with a husband or a boyfriend that is out late, doesn't come home when they want them to, and sometimes the women will confide with their friends and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But what you don't usually hear is that a lot of people are complaining about different things. They're saying, my husband isn't home. But for one group of people, their husband isn't home because he's hanging out with the boys, or he's not home because he's going out partying. And for other people, they're not home because he's out working. And obviously this goes both ways. But for whether the woman isn't home or the man isn't home. That was a conversation that we needed to have, because my wife used to work as well. She's a teacher. And before we moved to England, before we moved to Los Angeles, she worked full-time as a teacher. And when you've got a lot of things to do, she had long days too. But when she's home now she's home with 3 kids, and she's managing the house and making sure that they're doing the best that they can do, and that every other aspect of her life is running. She'll be here, and there'll be more days than I want that she's eating dinner with the children by herself without me. And so we had to have several conversations where I was trying to explain and get her to understand I'm not out because I want to be. I'm there because the studio needs me, or I need to get something done so I look good, so I don't look, so things don't look like they're taking too long or whatnot. And when someone's when she's home by herself and she's got to take care of all the things that she needs to take care of at home, there's going to be there could be a little bit of resentment. And what goes along with that is her maybe assuming, wrongfully so, I think, that I'm doing this to her, and it was a bit of a revelation for her to realize, I get it. You're not doing this you're not leaving, hanging me out to dry. You're stressed out as well,
Yeah.
you know? So there's nothing worse than coming home stressed and then having someone else telling you, you know, you're doing something wrong. It's like, well, I'm trying, you know? And so there's that conversation we have it at home, and we definitely, that obviously there's a compromise. She's like, well, then you need to be home for dinner on this day, and we need to do this, and so on and so on. And then you have to have that conversation with your work, and they need to understand that you have a family and your family needs you around as well. So there are days when they ask me to come in on the weekend and I'll say no. There'll be days when they say, we need you to stay late this day. Are you available? And I'm lucky that even in my job, which is very, very demanding, they'll give me the option a lot of the time. Are you available? As opposed to you are working, which does happen at a lot of visual effects studios. So I'm fortunate for that reason that I'm able to do that. It's just a lot of people move around a lot. I happen to be a staff artist at the company I work for, but visual effects industry is a nomadic industry. A lot of people move around a lot. So you'll have, again, in many instances, if you have a wife and children at home, and say there's a man that's working for a visual effects studio, they'll move across the country. They'll move to another country many times to chase the work. It's a little friendlier when you're single. But I know many families where, you know, somebody's at home and the other person has to chase the work wherever it happens to be. And I'm fortunate enough I don't have to do that. That would be another conversation I'd have to have. So, you know, we've come to an understanding. A long time now. It's been really good that she understands that, and that my work understands that, and I try to find that balance.
So coming to that understanding with your wife, how long did that take? What's that process look like?
Well, she's a teacher, so she understands what it means to take your work home. So she it's a little easier for me, and we talk all the time, so communication has never really been a factor. But it still took about a year or two of her getting used to that, to those hours, you know. Okay. And she wouldn't, like, you know, she's never gotten on my case heavily or anything, but you could tell that there was a little bit of a strain there, and maybe it took some getting used to as well. And also and that was earlier on in my career, and now I've been doing this for a while now, so I have a little more clout. I can say I'm not coming in and not feel that, am I going to have a job to come back to? Are they just going to replace me? You spend a little time doing it and you become a little more ingrained and a little more irreplaceable. So, and you become more flexible. They'll find somebody else, to do the job that I'm doing or what have you, or they'll just wait because, well, they need me to do this and they chose me to do it because they figured that I was a good fit for that particular task. And so that's what you need to do, because I need the rest of my life to function as well, or there's no point to me going to work, you know.
Let's talk about the stress on the kids. How does that
That's a tricky one, because with my wife can be very understanding, but the kids, especially when they're younger, they don't understand as well, obviously. When we first got pregnant, we were living in London and we visited Toronto. Just a routine visit. We're originally from Toronto, so we visited Toronto and went to the doctor, you know, and as you do, just every 6 months or so, if you go back to your home country to maintain your status there or whatnot, almost like maintain an address, and just found out that we were pregnant. So right then and there, we had plane tickets to go back to London in a week, and I canceled her plane ticket because I wanted her to be around family and friends and so on while she was going through this, and not me coming home late working on a film in London and she was by herself. That just didn't. It's one thing to ask her to do that when she's out there she's finding work as a supply teacher part-time, but if she's pregnant, that's going to be a lot bigger stress for her, so mentally and physically. So we decided to let her stay in Toronto, so I went back to London by myself. So fast forward now, we have a kid. We moved back to Toronto, my first kid, my son, and we were looking for places to live, but in that time, looking for a new place to move to. I was interested in moving to Los Angeles, which is where I am now. But for that time, when my son was up until he was 1 year old, we lived out of her parents' house. So we're around him. I'm around him all the time. And then, of course, when we had my second child, we lived in my mother's house, so I was around her all the time. Around that time is when I got the job here in Los Angeles. So we moved out here, and we were put up in a hotel by the company that I live at. So my kids are used to me being around at this point, and now all of a sudden I'm working constantly. And that's an adjustment period for them. Plus, we were living out of a hotel. So the company put me up for about 2 weeks, but I didn't want to move into while you look for a place. to move into, a place to rent or whatnot. And I didn't want to take any old place. So we took our time making sure that it was the right fit. And I had to deal with my son saying to me, when are we going to get a real home? Like, we're living in a hotel room. And this is a fancy hotel.
Yeah.
But you could tell to him, this is not a home.
Got it.
You know? And so just having to answer questions with kids that they don't understand what the situation is has always been difficult. My daughter the other day said to me, who's crying? She was like, why do you have to come home late all the time? Why can't you get another job like other daddies, you know, and come home sooner and have dinner with us all the time? So I tried to set it up so that I would always come home for dinner, or often come home for dinner. Or she would call me while I'm at work and say, you need to come home before I fall asleep. And I'm also lucky that with the job that I have now, I can log in from home and work from here if I need to. So I can come home, have dinner, put the kids to bed, and then continue to work into the night, which has been a great setup for me. But not everybody can do that. So it's a difficult conversation with the kids. It takes patience, and you need to spend time explaining to them. But you know, it takes getting used to. Basically, time is the only thing that you can really use to get people to understand how that's going to work.
So let's talk free time, vacation. How do you manage that?
Well, so free time, I mean, I have a lot of hobbies, as I said in the beginning, so there's very little free time. It's like time confetti. You know, you're just finding little pieces here and there. And a lot of the things that I'm doing on the side are, these are things that I will potentially turn into a different career. I can move on from, say, the grind of working in the visual effects industry to taking those skills again and pairing them with some of the things I'm interested in and doing something different. But that's in the middle of the night. I'll be here. I'll wait till the kids go to sleep at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and then I start working on my interests. And my wife wakes up very early, so she ends up usually going to sleep when the kids do. And that's when I have my, quote, me time to try and, move forward, get some progress on some new ability that I'm trying, or new skill that I'm trying to build, whether that happens to be, for me, I'm interested in music production. I'm interested in game design, digital art. And a lot of these things, there are similar skill sets that can transfer back and forth between them, but most people aren't doing all of those things at the same time.
Yeah.
So that for me, it's very difficult you make very slow progress, you know, but if that's what's important to you, then you got to do it. So you find the time when you can. And
Got it. So let's talk about Bacpak for a minute. How could Bacpak help someone like yourself that has a immensely busy schedule?
For me, if I was throwing an event, I mean, there are several events and things that suppose I put an album together and I wanted to do an album release party, or I wanted to do an art gallery. I have digital artwork that I'm thinking of displaying, and I wanted some music playing at a digital art gallery. All the things that I'm trying to do, when I start one, I'm going to be starting to do the other. Obviously, I just don't have a lot of time. So the great thing about Bacpak is that you can find what you're looking for in one place. There are many DJs there. They're all great. They're all vetted by the people that run Bacpak. And so instead of having to hunt, and there's a little bit more trust you have to put into when you're looking on your own. And it's not even so much trust. It's guesswork. But for something like Bacpak, you're being handed a group of people that are above a certain bar. And I can see right then and there on the app what they're capable of, the kind of sound that they provide, the vibe that they are, even their personality will come out if they have a promo video. And that's really helpful in trying to find out, who's going to be a good fit for the event that I'm throwing. So saving time and getting a good insight, a deeper dive into what that person can bring to my event, that's invaluable. I would much rather do that than have to hunt and peck on Google or whatever that is. That's going to take too much time that I don't have. So,
got it.
Yeah.
So, this is the part of the show where we talk about you. We've been talking about you.
Yeah, yes.
But is there any way that people can contact you? Anything that you would like to promote or let people know that you're working on or to look out for?
Not for me specifically, not yet. A lot of the things that I'm working on, I don't have an outlet for them just yet because they're just not ready. There will be eventually, and so once that happens, then I'll have the Twitters and the Instas and all that going on. But right now, I work for a company that we make visual effects. I just finished working on Captain Marvel. Go see that. I'm going to be working on a Netflix show soon. I'll probably be working on some other Marvel movies because those never end. There's Marvel movie to Marvel movie, so check those out. And hopefully in the future, I'll be able to direct people to check me out.
Fantastic. So we like to wrap the show with a song of my choosing. What I want you to do, sit back, relax, take in the song, digest it. Let me know what the mood of the song is, how the song makes you feel, where the song could be played, specific event. Describe it for me.
Sure.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get away from here to a place with beaches so clear. Yeah, we can dance with the sun and let it lead us to a distance that we don't go. So take a dive in the deep end with this glass. Leave all of your worries and pain in the past.
One of the things that I'm actually interested in doing in the future, having an event at like a speakeasy, like a smoky lounge.
Okay.
And this is the sort of vibe that I wanted to go with. Something that people would mingle with, mingle at and just enjoy themselves over some drinks in the dark,
Okay. So dark room, speakeasy feel, need a password to get in.
Absolutely. That's something I've always wanted to. I love attending those. I don't go to enough of them. So
there's a few.
I'm sure. Again, finding the time to do those, but
sure.
Yeah, I definitely. This is where I see that fitting in just right.
Fantastic. So we end every episode by giving you the last word. So any last words, Mr. Jones?
Let's see. My biggest thing right now is I'm looking for a way to find some more freedom to do the things that I want to do. So I guess my last word would be for people out there that are younger and maybe haven't yet embarked on a career, try to find something that gives you some freedom to explore yourself and find what you want to do, because you get to my age and it feels like a trap. So you want to make sure that you have the ability to do the things that you're interested in, as opposed to doing what they're interested in. It's a way to make money, but after a while, you may need more.
With that said, until next time.
What do you do when you're looking for a DJ? You get on Google, Instagram, Yelp, forget all that. Download the Bacpak app. Done.